Okay, welcome everybody to Colloquy. This is Zipporah of Buzzworthy Media. Today's guest is Kristi Dosh. She is calling in right now, so let's get her on here. There we go. Hopefully. It's working. She'll be joining us here shortly. Kristi is from Atlanta, Georgia. And she was born in Atlanta, Georgia. She grew up in the suburbs of Atlanta. And as a kid, she actually said that she wanted to be an attorney from the age of 5, or at least that's what her mother told her. And her first business idea was to become a full-time freelance writer, which she did do for a while, but realized that she could not scale up that business and decided to move forward with Guide My Brands. And we're not in yet. Let's try again. Not sure why that's not coming in. Gotta love technology, right? So we've got the spinning. One person calling in. I'm trying to accept. Not really sure what's going on here. Blab is still fairly a new platform, so hopefully we're not dealing with another bug issue like we were a few weeks ago with Katie. If we are, we do have a backup plan. Let's see if this one comes through. Now, I don't know. I'm spinning on my end. Let me... message her real quick and see what's showing up on her end. Technology is what technology is, and sometimes we just have to deal with it, right? Are we in yet? I think, are we? She's here. I'm not, it says waiting for host on my end. Okay. Let's see if that's, all right, Kristi, try one more time to, call in, if you could for me. All right. There we go. I think are we finally, there we go. Yay.
Yay! It's my first time with Blab, so working out the kinks, I think.
Well, there's still a new platform, so they've got the one time that I was on it, we couldn't even get on it. Like literally wouldn't let Katie on a couple weeks ago. So I think they've got to work out some bugs too.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad it worked out.
I'm glad we could finally get you in there. So I was just, I was kind of doing your introduction when you called in, but you're from Atlanta, Georgia, and your first entrepreneurial bug was being a full-time freelance writer, but you said you couldn't scale that up. So how did you transition from full-time freelance writer to Guide My Brand?
Yeah, so I think there were a couple of reasons that ended up not working for me. I had actually gone from being a corporate attorney to being a sports business analyst for Forbes and then ESPN. And so I was technically a professional writer at that point. And when I left ESPN, I really wanted to figure out how to make writing work as a career and decided to be a freelance writer. And I think a couple of things went wrong. The first and probably most important being that I wasn't patient enough. I only gave it about 4 to 5 months and then got cold feet, had someone offer me a pretty amazing job that was going to allow me to write but give me an actual salary. And I ended up taking the job and abandoning my plan to be a freelance writer. Unfortunately, that job that seemed like it was going to be so great wasn't. And I decided to go back out on my own again. And my initial thought was I would give the freelance writing thing a try. And I did that for a few months. And this time, what changed my mind was realizing that I couldn't really scale that business. There's only so much that I can write in one day. Now, I could always hire people to write, for me and build my company that way. But I just decided that that wasn't the right path for me. And that was when I really transitioned my business about a year ago and decided freelance writing wasn't the way to go.
So how did Guide My Brands, kind of come to be, other than obviously the freelance writing was not? What made you decide on this kind of avenue coming from the attorney and sports background?
A lot of it was being in Facebook groups. I just was in front of a bunch of entrepreneurs here locally last week, and I was telling them how much Facebook groups have changed my life and changed my business. And none of them are involved in Facebook groups, and I don't think they really understood. And it was tough to get it across during this speech that I was doing. But that is what really allowed me to hone my business idea. In the beginning, I thought I was going to work with people who had a 9 to 5, but had some sort of side hustle on the side that they were trying to grow into a business, because that was something I had done when I was a corporate attorney. I was kind of growing this blog on the side, and it eventually led to a job opportunity with ESPN, not to my own business, but still it really allowed me to change my career. And I thought, like, that's my sweet spot. That's what I'm going to help people with. And I do still have a couple of clients that fit that model, but the more I talk to people in Facebook groups and the more I started bringing clients on and working with them, the more I realized that what I'm actually great at is teaching people how to establish themselves as an expert in whatever that is they're doing, whether it's a side business or it's already their full-time business, and then how to become visible for that expertise. And so that over the months has morphed into, I no longer really call myself a business coach anymore. I call myself a publicist now and a visibility coach, because that's what I do. But had I not worked with clients and had I not been interacting with people constantly in groups, I don't know that the idea would have morphed like that. And now I'm doing something I love, and my business is growing like gangbusters every month. But you have to be patient. And I think you have to have those conversations with people before you really can hone your idea.
And you've been, we hooked up probably about 6-8 months ago. I know I was living in Denver at the time. Heather Prostansky introduced us.
Yes.
And I've been a big fan of yours ever since, watching you grow and you had some amazing things come up, your Miami Dolphins trip. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a great opportunity that came my way via social media. People always ask me where I get my speaking engagements, how I pitch myself for those. To be honest, I haven't pitched myself for a speaking engagement in a really long time. At this point, I've done it long enough that people generally come to me. And the Dolphins found me through a weird sort of piecing together of social media. I think it's interesting how it happened. When I asked them, they said they followed me on Twitter because I'm a sports business analyst. And so they followed me for my reporting on the NFL. And one day they saw me go live on Periscope, and they decided to watch the Periscope to see what I was doing. And it was actually the very first time I ever used Periscope. And I was Skyping into a class at the University of South Florida to talk about a book that I wrote about the business side of college football. And I decided just to set up my phone next to me. So I had like Skype on my computer and Periscope on my phone. And I like simulcast this speech I was doing for this classroom on Periscope. Well, the Dolphins guys saw that and thought that that was really neat. And so they looked me up on LinkedIn, I guess, to learn more about me. And they noticed we had a common connection on LinkedIn, reached out to that connection, asked them about me. And that person talked about how I had come to her school when she was still a grad student. I mean, this was like 5 years ago, and talked to her graduate class about how to use social media responsibly. And that's ultimately what the Dolphins came to me for. They asked me to come in and speak to their rookies about how to use social media responsibly. And it was this like weird chain of events that got them to me. But it was a neat speaking engagement. It paid well, which is always great for speaking engagements, but it was also really different than anything I've ever done. It was neat to be in front of professional athletes and sort of deal with the unique concerns and problems that they have on social media.
Definitely. And it goes to show like the interconnectedness of social media. It's that whole, you can't just do one thing because
Right.
it really kind of is all interconnected. And that's, obviously something I talk about too. Obviously mine is video, but I'm like, you have to promote on Facebook and Twitter and all this other stuff.
Right.
So it is that interconnectedness. So it's very interesting how like you're able to track all of that and know exactly how that came about. So
Yeah, I always tell
so
people you got to put pieces out everywhere. It's like little breadcrumbs so people can find you down the road. I mean, that goes back to a speaking engagement I did 5 years ago. That was a free speaking engagement I did when I first started out for this classroom at University of Tennessee. And then that woman is the person who's now giving me the recommendation that gets me this big paid speaking gig now. So, it all builds on each other and you just have to be consistent over time. I think that that's really the key to success is sticking with it and being consistent.
definitely, and a great piece of advice too. So, so obviously, switch gears here for a second. What would you consider your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
My biggest failure was probably giving up when I started the freelance writing the first time around, not giving it enough time. I had just always been in salaried positions. I had been a corporate attorney. And actually before that, I had been a paralegal before I went to law school, and then had been at ESPN where I was a salaried employee. And I was used to being very comfortable and making a nice salary and having benefits. And I think I got cold feet and just really got freaked out and didn't give it enough time. If I could go back and have a conversation with myself then, I definitely would have told myself to be more patient and to avail myself of more resources. This time around, I immediately got a coach when I went back on my own. I mean, I think within a week of leaving my job, I had already hired a coach. I was doing a course. I went out there and I found the resources, and I found other entrepreneurs who were doing what I was doing. I didn't have that support system before. And that's what I think is so great about the Facebook groups, because I live on an island. We're like 12 miles long by 2 miles wide. There's not a lot of people here to begin with and not a lot of entrepreneurs. And so Facebook has supplemented that for me and given me that community with people who are going through the same thing, experiencing the same frustrations, and who can share, look, I tried this and it didn't work, or here's why your Facebook ads aren't working. A lot of what I've learned has been from Facebook groups.
Nice. The Facebook groups are definitely kind of the thing right now. So, social media, as it grows up, it keeps changing and expanding and maturing, I guess is
Right.
probably the best way. But Facebook groups are definitely where it's at right now. So what's the best piece of advice that you ever received from somebody else?
It's to introduce people to each other. So while I was a corporate attorney, I met this fabulous client we had who was a wealth manager. And he really taught me that anytime you can introduce two people, and it has nothing to do with you, but you see where their businesses align or where they could work together, make that connection for people and really be that connector. And he was fabulous with me, connecting me to people when I was a young attorney. And so I was able to build business as a young attorney in a big firm in a way that most young associates didn't. And honestly, he was a huge part of that. I always joked and called him the Godfather because he knew everybody. I could go to him and be like, do you know somebody who works in the food industry? It'd be like something really specific. And he'd be like, you know what? I do. And he was always willing to make that introduction. And I try to always do that now. And it's amazing the relationships that forges between people, but also the way they feel about you, the fact that you were willing to make a connection that didn't grow your business or do anything for you, at least at the time. And I really appreciate being able to connect people in that way. And I think I do a pretty good job of it. I always try to make time for that.
It's definitely that was actually one of my early lessons too. And I had somebody teach me the same thing. He was a great networker, and he's like, just, get to know people, get to know what they do. And if you can, send, somebody their way or connect them, that's the best thing that you can do, even if it has nothing to do with you in general, right? Because you then become the person known as the person that can find that thing.
Right. And that's how I met, really, was that I was working with Heather and she said, oh, you've got to meet Sephora. You've got to talk to her about video. And so, someone stepped in and connected us. And I
Right.
think there's a spider web effect then where you all are introducing each other to people, and that really grows. And the know, like, and trust factor that grows with people that sometimes have them return to you when they are ready to do business with you. A lot of times there is a payoff, but you do it with no expectation of a payoff down the road. It's just wanting to help other people grow their businesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So on the fun side of things, what do you do outside of your business for fun and relaxation?
Wouldn't it be nice if I had hobbies now? I live a block from the beach, so I'm a little spoiled in being able to go to the beach anytime that I want and try to take advantage of that as much as I can on the weekends. And our climate here, we're pretty much year round, at least able to go walk on the beach, maybe not able to get in the water. So my husband and I spend a lot of time outside, just walking and just being outside. And when we travel, we love to hike. So our vacations are usually to the mountains because we live at the beach. And so we love going to the mountains and being able to hike and get outside and do that sort of thing. I love snow skiing. So 1 week every winter, we go snow skiing, and I look forward to that all year. I don't think I'd want to live somewhere where I could just ski anytime because I don't really like snow that much, but that 1 week a year, I really look forward to that 1 week. And otherwise, it really is just spending time with my husband. We don't have children. It's just the two of us, but we both have this background in sports media. My husband's actually still in sports media. So we know a lot of the same people and we go to the same events. And a lot of times we're able to travel with each other. So it's so cliche to say your husband's your best friend, but my husband really is. And he's such a big supporter of everything that I do. And because our businesses intersect so much, we're able to do things together. We used to host a radio show together, and that was a lot of fun. So always looking for new collaborations with him.
Awesome. We have a person calling in, so I'm going to allow them in and ask their question. So hopefully we don't have the same. There we go.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Hello.
How are you, ma'am?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, same to you. I'm fine.
How are you doing? Did you have a question for us?
At dinner, ma'am?
You do?
Yeah, just now.
Okay, well, feel free to ask. Go ahead.
Which topic is going on? Which topic is going on?
Which topic? We're speaking with Kristi Dosh, who is the owner of Guide My Brands.
Best of luck, Kristi. Okay, best of luck, ma'am. Be carry on. I don't have any question. I don't have any question.
Oh, you don't have any questions? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go back to the interview then. If you have a question later on, just call back in.
Ma'am, okay. Ma'am,
Okay.
you are so beautiful, ma'am. Yeah, blue dress, ma'am. Both are
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
Okay.
Okay. Where were we? Oh, fun and relaxation. That's right.
Yes.
So how do you, obviously everybody needs that kind of off time to reconnect and rebalance and all that kind of stuff. So how do you, other than that, stay productive? What's your productive routine?
Oh, that's a good question. So I love working from home because I really do get up and immediately start working. And I love that ability to structure my day in a way that works for me. So when we get done, I'm going to go have a nice long lunch. I think I'm going to swing by Target for some things I need. And then I thought I might go work in Starbucks for a little while. For me, it's taking breaks throughout the day. So, although I used to be a corporate attorney and sit at a desk for 12 hours straight, I kind of chunk my schedule now. And so I have these chunks of time where I know I'm going to be working on things, but I give myself the flexibility to go get my nails done in the middle of the day or do grocery shopping in the middle of the day when everybody's not at the grocery store. And I need those mental breaks too. I work really hard, pedal to the metal when I'm working on a client project. And then I need a break from it, and I take a break and I watch TV or I run out to do my errands, that sort of thing. So that's what I love the most about working for myself, is being able to have that kind of non-traditional schedule and be able to find that schedule that works for me. And I think that allows me to be more productive because I'm not just sitting at my desk grinding because somebody told me this is the hour I need to be at my desk today. You know, I listen to my body, and when I need to get up and walk because my back's hurting, I do it. Or when my mental focus isn't there and I know my writing's not as strong as it would be if I took a break for the next hour, I do that. So I really just listen to what my body and my mind needs and take those breaks when I need them.
Definitely, definitely. So, where do you find inspiration when you're kind of in those, you know, places where sometimes you're feeling stuck or anything like that?
I usually and watch TV sounds like such a dumb thing, but I was telling somebody the other day, I love shows like Shark Tank and The Profit. Now I've gotten really into Billion Dollar Buyer. There are really good business nuggets in some of those episodes. And for me, what I love the most, and maybe it's why I became a publicist, is I love seeing other people succeed. Like I can watch a movie where, you know, someone dies and everyone else in the theater is crying and I'm not. But then I watch a show like Dance Moms, which is so ridiculous. Like I see one of those, you know, young women win a national title and I'm like bawling. I love to see other people succeed and reach their dreams. And so those business kind of shows where these entrepreneurs are putting it all on the line and they're getting out there and they're overcoming their fears and they're pitching their business. And, you know, I love that. And that really energizes me to go back and work on my business. So I sort of have a steady stream of those shows I try to watch when I need that moment of inspiration.
I actually,
probably not what everybody does, but it works for me.
Trust me, you're right up my alley because I actually go on YouTube and watch commercials for inspiration. So.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's knowing what works for you. You know, I know my friends who have children, it's going and taking a break and spending time with their child. And that inspires them because what they're really trying to do is build this wonderful life for their children. You know, I don't have children, so that's not what works for me, but I get a real high off of watching other people succeed. And so watching shows, and not just business shows, but I watch a lot of really ridiculous like reality TV, but shows where people really are chasing their dreams and they're getting that opportunity to grow their business. I love that. I wish there were more shows like that on the air because I'm going to run out at some point.
Maybe we should work on that.
Yes.
We'll start our own. There we go. So, I'm kind of moving into the end part because we've got about 8 minutes left, and I want to leave some room for we've got another person that's going to be calling in here in a second. If he can just hold on through these questions. So you're a TV watcher. You're probably familiar with Inside the Actors Studio. I kind of like to give the background on this because I don't want to take credit for these questions. These questions actually came from Bernard Pivot, which was a French television host. James Lipton then used him in his show, and I used to be totally addicted to that show. And I said, if I ever do a talk show, I'm doing those questions. So I have added a few of my own. So what is your favorite movie?
A League of Their Own. That's another one of those where, you know, I grew up playing softball, so I think I connect with it in that manner, but also watching people chase after their dreams, and it was a real life story. So definitely my favorite movie.
Definitely a good one. I love that movie too. What is your favorite book?
That is really hard. I love to read, but the one book that I have read over and over and over is going to be kind of odd, but it is a book about Thomas Jefferson building Monticello. I love Monticello. I love Jefferson's background as an attorney, and he loved to write. There's so many things about him I connect with. Now there's other things that I don't. And certainly I've read some interesting books about his relationship with slavery, but there's a book that's called Biography of a Builder that's about Thomas Jefferson. And it is just about building Monticello. And I love that book. And I reread it every time before I go visit Monticello because there's always something new I get out of it.
Awesome. What is your favorite quote?
So I saw this years ago, and now I can never find again where it came from and who originally said it, or I would give them credit for it. But you'd think on Google you could find it, but I can't. But it was something along the lines of, don't just wait for opportunity to knock. Sometimes you have to rip the door off the hinges and tackle opportunity in the street. And I'm a big believer in that. You know, maybe because I'm a publicist, I'm big about being self-promotional and pitching yourself and going after the things that you want. And so that really spoke to me.
That is awesome. I love that. Rip the door off the hinges and tackle it. It's definitely a good one. So I'm having a feeling I know who this answer is going to be, but who would you love to have dinner with?
Oh, actually, I don't know if you will know the answer to that. Alive or dead, does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
I think it would be Joan Rivers. I got to spend a small amount of time with Joan Rivers a couple of years before she passed away, and it was amazing. She wasn't someone I thought I was going to connect with or really care about one way or the other, and I thought she was like awfully mean sometimes on TV. Nicest person in the world in person. I have since watched a documentary on her that was fabulous. She loved working and loved what she did, and I'm somebody who's very driven by my career and loves what I do. So I would love to pick her brain a little bit more. Unfortunately, I only got a few minutes with her the last time.
See, I thought you were going to go Thomas Jefferson on that one.
No, yeah, I'm not sure that I actually want to meet him. I love reading about him. I love his house. I don't know if I need to meet him, though.
Okay, so these are actually going into the Bernard Pivot question. So what is your favorite word?
Opportunity. Definitely. That's
Good
easy.
one. Good one.
And I love, I once said that I'm addicted to opportunity. Like I'm always looking for the next thing, and not in a I'm never satisfied sort of way. I love my life. I think it's phenomenal, but like I get so excited by new opportunities. And I think that's what I love about being a publicist, is being able to do that for other people. When I get to email or call somebody and say, I found this thing for you, you're going to be on TV next week, or I found this magazine you're going to get quoted in. That is the best feeling, getting to call somebody and tell them that. I get more excited for them than I do when I get those things.
You can, I've actually, because you get on and you promote when you do this for somebody, and I was like, this is amazing. You get like so excited about like, oh my God, I just got a TV spot for this person, and I've been watching your posts and that kind of stuff. It's awesome to see. Like, you almost seem more excited than your clients do.
I know sometimes my clients are like, I got the first television segment for a client last week, and I think she just wanted to throw up. Like, she's excited about it, but she's so afraid she's not able to like live in the moment yet. Whereas I am like thrilled for her, because I've done TV for years and I get this like adrenaline high off of it. I love it. And I know she's going to love it once she gets past the first time. That first time's a little shaky. And I'm definitely at this point more excited than she is about it. So I think once it's over with and she gets to like post the video of it, she's going to be super excited too.
So what is your least favorite word?
Oh, maybe negative or pessimism, something along those lines. I am a huge optimist. I can find the good in any situation. Like nothing gets me down for more than a few minutes. I can like, even when I'm really upset, I can like turn it around and find something good about it. And so I have to keep myself around positive, really upbeat people. I just can't do the negative.
Very good. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh, the beach really does it for me. That's another one of those, when you asked me earlier what I do to be productive. If I'm really stuck, that's a place where I can go and just spend a few minutes. I'm not someone who meditates or ever really, I guess, learned how to do that or has embraced that. I understand people who do. For me, I can just go sit on the beach, and maybe that's a form of meditation. It just doesn't, feel formal to me, but I can just go sit there and like close my eyes and listen to the waves crashing. And it really feels like it just washes everything away. Like all your concerns, all your worries, those negative thoughts, like I feel cleansed after I sit out on the beach.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. My meditation spot is most certainly the beach. And I've been trying to do the meditation thing, and I'm just going to go to the beach and sit.
Yeah. Really, if I try to do it in my house, like I can't like sit still and I can't keep my thoughts. But if I go out to the beach, I can become so calm and I can really clear my mind. It's something about the sound of the waves. I love it.
Absolutely. I've always said I can't live away from the ocean.
No.
I did Denver for a couple of months, and I was like, I need water.
I love the mountains.
Moving water.
I love the mountains, but I want to live at the beach. I have to visit the mountains once a year, or I feel this like pull to the mountains, but I want to live at the beach.
Yes. Same way. So what turns you off?
Oh, crowds. I'm an extrovert. I think I'm an ambivert. I read an article about this recently. I'm extremely extroverted when I'm in the media or I'm at a conference or an event. I love public speaking, but I need that like downtime afterwards where everyone just leaves me alone and I'm like in a, quiet space. by myself. I'm not a crowd person, so I don't really like concerts or festivals or big events like that. I do them every once in a while if there's something I really want to see badly enough, but it's really most of the time at the end of the night, I'm like, why did I come to this? It's just not my thing.
What is it, an ambivert?
Yeah, I read a whole article about how somebody who can be both extroverted and introverted is an ambivert. And so it means that when you're in a social situation, you are an extrovert. You're extremely outgoing. You have no trouble meeting strangers. You can feed off the energy, but you have to have that downtime later. So like when I go to conferences and I speak, I am on all day. I love it. I get an adrenaline rush out of it. But I don't want to share a room with somebody at night. I want to be, unless it's my husband, like I want to be by myself and go back to my hotel room and just be away from people because I need that time to recharge to be able to do it again the next day.
It's awesome. I gotta look into that more because I may be the same way.
I will find the article and send it to you.
Awesome. So what is your favorite curse word if you have one?
I don't curse very often. I'm trying to think what I say the most. My mom was big on we couldn't curse until we like left the house, although she curses like a sailor. And so I really filtered myself my whole like teenage years. And so now if it like comes out, it's really because I'm upset. So I probably say damn the most because that doesn't seem that bad. I never use the F word. I can't even do it. Like I literally can't say it. It's not me. And it doesn't offend me when other people say it, but it just like doesn't come out of my mouth.
Curse word doesn't necessarily have to be that 4-letter word that we've like, some people are like, come up with all sorts of crazy stuff for what their favorite curse word is. And it's not even a curse word. They're like, that's just my frustration word. Maybe I should rephrase that to what's my frustration word.
Yes.
So what sound or noise do you love? I think we kind of already covered this, but
definitely the ocean. I wish I lived a little bit closer and could hear it when I open my windows. You only get that like at night because I'm a block back. So it has to be night and nobody's air conditioning units can be on and then I can hear it.
I'm a little bit further. I'm staying in the woods. I'm in New Jersey right now and I'm in the woods. And so the beach is a couple miles away. So I don't get the sound of it. I can still smell it though. So.
Yes, the smell does it for me too.
So what sound or noise do you not like?
An alarm clock. I haven't had to wake up to an alarm clock since I was a corporate attorney, with the exception of if I have like an early flight or something. But for the most part, my husband and I always talk about we're so blessed. He goes into an office every day, but has a flexible schedule. So we do not wake up to an alarm clock. We just wake up when we wake up, which is still pretty much the exact same time every morning naturally. But then that like beeping noise, and I always set mine to a radio, but still like that buzzing noise of a traditional alarm clock, makes me want to throw up.
So what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, that's a really good question. Maybe being an actress. I really enjoy when I get to be on TV. I wouldn't want to do it full time and be a host on a show or anything like that. So I've always enjoyed getting to go on as a guest. But I kind of think it's interesting, not for the fame. I'd like to do something where I got to act, but not that many people knew who I was.
Oh, we froze. Oh no.
But I think it'd be fun to play other.
Okay, hopefully we can call back in. We did have some callers that we're trying to get in. So if you we're just about done with the questions here. If Kristi calls back in, we will open it up for you to call back in and ask questions. Oops. Let's let Kristi back in. It's still spinning. I don't know if you can see me or not. Keep hitting accept. There we go.
There. Sorry about that. You froze up on me too, so I couldn't figure out what happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because mine was still going and you had the frozen face and I was like, oh no. Let's just make sure. Okay, we're still recording, so that's good. So what profession would you not like to do?
Ooh, that is a good question. I don't think I'd want to do something in like a call center. The idea, I don't really like being on the phone. I prefer to email, and I only do phone calls with people when I have to. So the idea of being on a phone all day long in a call center, I don't think that that's my calling. Pun intended.
No pun intended. And then finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh, I mean, the first thing that popped in my head when you said that was, I hope it does, because I really want to see my grandfather. I had a grandfather I was extraordinarily close to who passed away when I was 18. And so he never got to see what I did. He never got to see that I really did go to law school. And me going to ESPN and writing a book, like there's no one who would have been more excited or more proud of me. So I would want my grandfather standing right there waiting for me to be able to tell him about everything that's happened since he's been gone.
That's awesome. That's very good. So we had a caller before. They popped out. I don't know if they want to try and call back in for questions for you. We'll give them a couple minutes.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you kind of wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I'm excited to get a little more exposure with everybody and just encourage everybody who's watching to find these opportunities for themselves to be a guest on a podcast or to guest blog on a site or to do a video like this. The more of this kind of stuff you do, it's like we were talking about earlier with how you never know where those like breadcrumbs you're dropping, like when that person's going to find you. And so, a speech I did 5 years ago for free led me to a paid speech this year. Not that I've been getting paid to speak for several years now. But still, all these little things you do, even if they don't seem like a big deal, they add up and you never know who's watching. It doesn't matter how many people are watching. If there's one person who's watching that connects with you, who gets in touch later. So I'm always willing to put myself out there and do stuff like this because it's always worked out for me. I've always gotten, I think, a lot out of the experience.
And it's so true. You never know who's watching. It's I started kind of doing an audit on myself to see, who my tribe members were and how can I, can more connect with them for myself. And I started realizing that I have these followers who don't really say a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'll get like a like here but they're consistent. They're consistently watching what I'm doing, even though they're not saying very much. So it's true. You never know where, that breadcrumb or who's picking up that breadcrumb.
And those are the people who one day will email you or call you and say, how can I work with you? And you'll be like, who are you? Where did you come from? And really been watching you for months. I've had that happen with several clients who didn't comment and, I didn't like see them. And so I didn't know they were there. And then when they came to me and had a discovery call and I said, how did you find out about me? They're like, oh, I've been following you in this group for months, or I've been watching your lives for this long, or I've been on your email list for 6 months, but they never say anything. So you don't know that they're engaged. And that's just, a product of their personality. And in reality, they were watching everything you do. And that's what made them decide to work with you.
Right. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's probably one of the best pieces of advice. So I guess they are not going to try to call back in. So we will end this today. I want to thank you for being on the show and for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And if people want to ask questions later, if they want to find me on Facebook or on Twitter, I'll answer anything. I'm an open book.
Okay. Do you want to let them know how to find you on different social medias?
Yeah. So on Twitter and on Facebook, I'm on Guide My Brand. So you can find my Facebook page that way, and then also on Twitter. And then my group on Facebook is the Visibility Workshop, which is just like it sounds. We work on everything related to visibility and helping people put themselves out there more.
Awesome. All right. Well, definitely, those of you that are watching or those that are watching the replay, hook up with Kristi in the Visibility Workshop group and on Twitter, Facebook. And of course, you can always catch the next Blab show next Monday at 11 a.m. It's every Monday at 11. Actually, no. Next week is July 4th, and we are taking a break.
As well, you should.
So we will be back the 11th with Nikki Pebbles. I keep wanting to call her Peebles. I don't know why. But thank you again for being on the show, and we will see you on Facebook. Definitely.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good one.